My name is Nathan Laurie. If you are new here, we talk about the law and the facts. If you're about that life, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. I wanted to actually ask you about this story. You remember the Bling Bling Bishop in New York?
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who don't know, let me share this screen. So there's a bishop here in New York who was robbed for, what was it? It was $1 million in jewelry. All right, so this is the bishop. So this guy, that's suit he's wearing, that outfit he's wearing is like what, thousands of dollars. That's it's crazy. This guy is like insane. So this guy, his name is, what's his name? Bishop Lamar Whitehead. So we remember him from this when he got robbed of $1 million in jewelry. Here's the picture. So he was doing his sermon. You see, he's got the gold chain. So this guy, while he's standing here, you're looking at somebody who has probably $500,000 worth of jewelry and diamonds.
That's a lot. That's a lot of jewelry, man. It's a little flashy. I just have to say, not 100% sure about the message we're trying to send exactly in this look, but okay.
So this is when the gunman comes in and he gets down, and then they robbed him and his wife of, I think, the $1 million worth of jewelry. She had about $500,000. She had about $500,000 cash and all that stuff. But the problem was that a lot of people were saying, as you see here, that it may have been staged, because they were saying this seems like an insurance scam. Right? Who, number one, is going to have $1 million in jewelry on, and then number two is going to have no security? Think about it, Kurt. $1 million in jewelry, but no security? Right? That's crazy. That's crazy. So people were saying that this was an insurance scheme, that he was, that he staged it. He then says no, but then people started looking back into his past. Like, what type of person has millions of dollars in jewelry, no security, and seems to just have this cavalier attitude about it? So they looked into the bishop's past. So first, they found that he's currently being sued because he allegedly stole $90,000 from one of the people who were attending his church. It's so wild, because we heard about this on Natalie Lawyer's Chick last night, where this person gave him $90,000 for a down payment on a house. He then takes the money and says it's really a donation to his campaign, and then the woman asks for the money back. He never gives the money back, and so that's why. So we got $90,000 allegedly taken from some woman who's suing him for the $90,000. Then he also has some other financial problems. The next financial problem that he has is that court records from New Jersey shows that he still owes $400,000 in judgments to his construction company that built his house. So we got about $500,000 in debts that the Bling Bling Bishop has.
One would think that that jewelry is insured, and so if I'm a creditor of his and watching this happen, I'm thinking to myself, "Ooh, money," because that stuff is insured. So I'm just going to go attach the insurance proceeds. It's as good as, it's even better because now it's in cash form. So I mean, why not? It's like, I'll just call the insurance company. We'll just be like, write that check to me instead of him.
That's right? We got $500,000. Well, the problem is that this bishop has a history. First, he did 5 years in prison. The Rolls-Royce driving Bishop Lamar Whitehead served a 5-year prison sentence for multiple counts of identity fraud and grand larceny, and he was released in 2013. So I went and looked up the story. Here's the story. It's Mink and Fleece. High roller busted in $2 million ID theft. You see Lamar Whitehead, 27. He's 27 at the time. Teaneck, New Jersey, was busted Wednesday on Riverside Drive in Manhattan at the wheel of a hot SUV, stolen SUV, wearing a pimp-style red and white wrist-length mink jacket. So this guy's been stunting in since 2000.
Does he have the cane with the little jewel on the top of it and the whole 9 yards, or what?
He might have. I don't know. But he was charged with 10 counts of identity theft. So this guy was stealing people's identity, and he targeted victims in Suffolk County to a total of $250,000. So this bishop,
he seems to have a bit of a history. It does raise, with his history in mind, it does raise some suspicions relative to recent events that maybe all is not what it seems to be.
Yeah. So you got a bishop who's got $1 million worth of jewelry. He's got this criminal history, and he gets robbed in this pretty suspect way. So people are really, really, really kind of like,
why does his suit remind me of what's his name, Lasco, the guy with the question marks on it, who is always talking about how to beat the IRS? That guy, you know what I'm talking about, with the green with the question mark guy. Yeah, well, that's what it reminds me of.
He's a I think, received con artist, and I think he figured out, hey, the church is where it's at. So he then goes to the church and reenacts the whole robbery. So this is him reenacting it, laying on the floor, he puts the mic down, so he's making sure. So he did that. And then he showed like his Bible, because he wanted to show, again, because people were questioning the authenticity of this. Here's his Bible, and he's showing how it's heavily, heavily, heavily marked up, because he's a man of God in his $1,000 suit.
He's a con man who does his research. Right? So it's helpful to know, if you're going to con people, it helps to know what you're talking about. So he has done his research and done his due diligence. His Bible's well marked up with all the best verses. Sure.
And now, because of the robbery, nobody's going to the church anymore, because nobody wants to be sitting inside there, and there's with no security, and somebody's got millions of dollars worth of jewels on. So that seems to be what has happened. Now, interesting, for the 2A argument, he asked the city to give him a gun because of the incident.
With his felony record, I would think that would be difficult to get a gun in New York.
Well, that's and especially
or anywhere.
Federally. Yeah, because you have
18 USC 922G sounds right about a point, right to me.
So what most of you probably are wondering is that if you're convicted of a felony in any state, federal law says you can't own a gun. So that's like the one thing, so you lose. So since he has a felony, even though it's a non-violent felony, he does have a felony, and that felony means he cannot own a gun. Period. So that is it with the bling bling bishop.
If memory serves correctly, and it's been a while, I believe that only applies to firearms post, what is it, like 1904 or something like that. There's some weird cutoff on that, because if it's an old firearm older than that, it doesn't count as a firearm under federal law. So if he gets himself like some old antique, and it would have to be an original, if he gets himself like an original like Army Colt or something, he can use that. Maybe under federal law. So loopholes.
There's loopholes. Well, the thing is, all right. So, quick question: do you think this thing may have been an insurance scam?
No.
No.
No. I'm sure that everything's completely on the up and up.
It's crazy. But I it's fascinating, because a lot of these stories that come up, it's like, where did this, like, how, like why? But I honestly think, if I'm the cops, I'm looking into it. You owe $500,000 in cash, all of a sudden you get robbed for $1 million in jewelry. Is it insured? If it is insured, why didn't you have any security? Because if I'm an insurance company, my first question is, where was the security? You couldn't pay $10,000 to get some security on $1 million worth of jewelry? Really? Is that really what we're talking about here? Like, at a point, it's like, I don't know if I would even want to cover this, but it is what it is. So now we know.
No. Deny coverage, make him sue you for it. That'd be fun. That'd be a great lawsuit. I'd love to see that. Yeah. Deny coverage, make him sue you. See how that goes over. Then, because we get to depose everybody, we get to depose him, we get to depose the camera crew, we get to depose anyone who is there, and we get to ask them questions about this whole thing.
And you get all those messages too.
And the emails that I'm sure exist, the phone calls. How good is he at hiding his tracks?
Now, that's a good point.